Hello and welcome to my new Ravine CHIMPS guide. This is probably harder than the one I did with Shredder, but I made it for someone who would not leave me alone about it. At Enui Dios, I hope you're happy. And no, I don't care that I probably mispronounced that. First, we're going to place a dart monkey right over here. A good visual indicator to place it is the dart's range should go in the middle of the tree corner thing. And then we're going to place another dart monkey right over here. Two good visual indicators to use for this placement are the fact that the dart's range should go through both of those corners. And then you're going to set that dart to last. And then you're going to place a third dart monkey right over here. And when that specific tree waves left, it should touch the inner portion of the range, and you're going to keep it on first. Before round 7, you're going to upgrade your bottom dart to quick shots, and then you should click the sword 23 times before the round starts, and then click it once when there's only one green left. Or you can just spam it mid-round like I did there, just to save a tiny bit of time. And then before round 8, you're going to place another dart monkey as top left as possible. You want the range to touch the outer thing of the track. And then before round 9, you're going to shove a dart monkey as top left as possible into that corner and set it to strong. In the middle of round 10, you're going to upgrade your first strong dart monkey to quick shots and then very quick shots as soon as possible. In the middle of round 12, you're going to upgrade your very speedy dart monkey to triple shot. Before round 14, you're going to upgrade your just quick shot dart monkey to longer range, and then you're going to place another dart monkey right here as top left as possible. And then you're not going to randomly panic here for no reason like I did. And if you see two clumped reds, like there are here, you're going to set your dart monkey to strong for the first wave of yellows. And then you're going to put it back to first. Before round 15, you're going to place the sniper right over here and set it to strong. Before round 16, you're going to give your long-range dart monkey the magical camo-seeing red wristbands. And then for round 18, you're going to set your sniper to last until you reach about $660, where you're going to set it back to strong and upgrade your camo dart monkey to crossbow as soon as possible. And then you're going to get very quick shots during round 19. For round 21, you're going to place a boomerang as high shoved into that corner as possible, and then you're going to make it left-handed and set it on close. For round 22, you're going to upgrade your sniper to full metal jacket, and you're going to set your crossbow to strong. Or you can leave your crossbow on first and something very cool happens. You don't actually die, and then set your crossbow back to first for round 23. And then before round 25, switch your boomerang to first and make it right-handed again. Before 27, you're going to set your boomerang to last, and then both base darts right next to your crossbow to last. Even though you did all of that, there's still a non-zero chance that you just die randomly and you can't really do anything about it. It might have to do with crossbow placement, it might have to do with RNG, I'm not exactly sure what it is. In the middle of round 28, place Churchill. You have a decent amount of time to do this, but just do it as quick as possible. Before 31, set your boomerang to first and make it left-handed, and upgrade your triple shot to camo vision. And then use AP shells when you see black Bloons approaching the bottom area. Before 32, you're going to place 2 druids, one of them right there, and the other right next to it. And then you're going to upgrade your top druid to hard thorns, and then thorn swarm mid-round. And then after 31, make your boomerang right-handed again. This is mostly for round 35. And now we're at round 35. You have the money to get Druid of the Jungle, but don't do it just yet. And then use AP shells when rainbows, or the insides of the rainbows, start to get to Churchill. After 35, upgrade your Druid to Druid of the Jungle, and leave it on first. Oh yeah, this would be a great time to mention that this entire early game was made by Spiffy, but I changed a few things just to make it work better. Before 37, you're going to want to place a spike factory as bottom right as possible, next to Churchill. And then upgrade it to smart spikes, and set it to smart. And then in the middle of round 38, upgrade your other druid to Druid of the Jungle, set it back to first, and then give it hard thorns. And then after 38, upgrade your spike factory to bigger stacks. And while I have some extra time, I am going to say that I find it really bizarre that if the Druid of the Jungle is cross-pathed, when you upgrade to Druid of the Jungle, it doesn't switch it to strong automatically, but if it's not cross-pathed, it does. Weird. But before 40, you're going to place a glue gunner right next to your crossbow, give it glue soak, and bigger globs. And then you're going to use AP shells when Churchill starts attacking. And then before round 41, you're going to place a village right over here. You should use the visual indicator of it being right next to those 3 green leaves. And then upgrade your village to Monkey Commerce. And then before 42, you're going to place a spike factory so that the outside of its range touches the inside of the track outline, in range of the village. Upgrade it to smart spikes, set it to smart, and buy night vision goggles on your sniper as soon as possible. I almost forgot, and if you do forget, you die. Before 43, upgrade your village to longer range and check if Churchill is in the range. If he is, continue. If he's not, restart. And then use AP shells on the round 43 ceramics. And then upgrade your other spike factory to bigger stacks. Before 46, place an alchemist precisely where I do it. This placement is very important. And then upgrade it to Berserker Brew. The only reason you get Berserker Brew here is because sometimes there is RNG on 46 and you would die without it. And then before 47, upgrade your other spike factory to spiked balls and use AP shells on the ceramics. This round doesn't get as close as it does here too often. Sometimes it gets even closer, but I've never actually died out of my like 6-7 runs of testing this. And then upgrade your other spike factory to spiked balls. Before 49, place an alchemist right here. This alchemist placement is quite important, and then upgrade it to Berserker Brew mid-round, and Perishing Potions. Once the ceramics come out, use AP shells, and then get Perishing Potions on that alchemist. It's kind of important. This round can also get very close, and I think I died once, but it doesn't happen too often. And then upgrade your village to Jungle Drums, and your other alchemist to Perishing Potions as well. And then, before 50, place a sniper right over here, in range of the village and the alchemist, while being as left as possible. You want the slit of its range, usually the slit where it can see, you want the right edge to go directly through the center, here it doesn't, and it ends up working just fine. Actually, it worked pretty good in this spot, so you might want to use this spot instead of the normal one. And then set the sniper to strong, and upgrade it to deadly precision with shrapnel shot. If both MOABs go left on 54, there's a chance that you just die and can't do anything about it. So, sorry if that happens. It hasn't happened to me, it only happened to me like twice, but that was with some slightly different upgrades, so who knows. And then in the middle of 55, upgrade your sniper to main MOAB and use AP shells on the 4th wave of ceramics. I'm not entirely sure if it's needed, but this is the first of many abilities that I will use to pad Churchill's stats to get him to 500k pops. Most of them are not required. I'll tell you which ones are required though. And then upgrade your bottom alchemist to stronger stimulant. You want the alchemist to be able to affect the spiked balls and the main MOAB only. And then remember that glue gunner from round 40? You're going to upgrade it to glue strike with corrosive glue. Get Glue Strike as soon as possible during 62 because you need it up for 63. Speaking of 63, Glue Strike the first wave of ceramics, and then AP Shells the second. The second wave is the scary one because if your spike distribution is off, one side might leak. I'm not exactly sure how likely this is, but I think it happened to me once. And then Glue Strike the third wave. And then upgrade your Alchemist inside the tree to stronger stimulant. It should affect Churchill and the spiked balls. This AP Shells use is not required, just using it to pad Churchill's stats a bit. And then this barrage is also not required, but you can just use it to save time. This barrage and the AP shells that comes shortly after, both abilities are not required at all. This AP shells is also not required. But for 71, these two are required. When all MOABs are on screen, use Barrage and Glue Strike once they pop. You should also do it because it looks cool. This Barrage and AP Shells, 100% not required. Just more Churchill stat padding. And then before 74, place a Glue Gunner right here, and upgrade it to Bloon Liquefier and Glue Splatter. You want to make sure that before you start the round and before it receives the alch buff, that the range touches the inside of the track outline. Your spiked balls and your Bloon Liquefier should be the two things receiving the alch buff from now until the end of the game. Before round 75, switch your main MOAB to first, and then barrage when you see the first group of 3 clumped BFBs. This round has a lot of RNG, so be careful. Use AP shells when Churchill starts attacking them, and then use Glue Strike when a long thing, or just when a long chain of MOABs splits into ceramics. And then you should just beat the round. Feel free to use AP shells again. You don't need to, but it doesn't hurt. And then use Glue Strike when all of the ceramics on 76 show up. Before 78, switch your main back to strong, and then Glue Strike when all of the ceramics come out from the first wave. You shouldn't die here, but I don't know, there's probably a 1 in 1,000 chance that you do. And then you don't need to glue strike the second wave, but if you really want to, you can. I would recommend it just in case your spiked balls accidentally tank some BFB insides and suddenly don't have enough to hold the ceramics. I panicked and accidentally used AP shells here. You don't need to do that. Another stat padding AP shells because why not? And upgrade your glue to the Bloons solver as soon as possible. This tower is actually pretty good after some recent patch notes. Oh yeah, and that barrage is entirely unnecessary, and I recommend that you don't actually use it. Just so you can use it as soon as possible on round 80. And you can also glue strike here just to make sure that the druids deal a tiny bit of extra damage to the ZOMG, but 100% not needed. Just use barrage on the ZOMG layer and you should win, because glue puddles are insane. Upgrade your village to primary mentoring exclusively for the extra range. Nothing else. You just want the extra range on your solver because you kinda need it for both lanes. Before 82, place a discount village and place a MOAB glue with bigger globs and set it to strong. This AP shells might actually be required, not 100% sure about that, but you can just use it to continue padding Churchill's stats. Oh yeah, and that barrage doesn't do anything. It might actually hurt you, but you should still win because you pretty much have full power spiked ball piles that haven't been touched. And then for 83, place a MOAB press with glaze and set it to strong. And then before 84, place another one. Another unnecessary AP shells. And then before 84, you're going to set Churchill to last, and he's going to stay there for the rest of the run. Oh yeah, and then place that MOAB press. You should do that. From now on, I'm only going to say when an ability is required, because like half of the ones I use from now on just aren't required. Use the glue strike here. It's kind of important. Actually, not really. You don't have to. And then before 85, place another MOAB press right over here. Same path as the other ones, same targeting as the other ones. And then upgrade that top village to primary training when you can afford it. And then when you see both the OMGs on 85, use barrage. And then I don't think you have to use any more abilities, but continue to stat pad Churchill if you really want to. And then before 87, buy an engineer right here, upgrade it to cleansing foam, and set the targeting right over there. And then use barrage once you see all 4 ZOMGs. Before 88, place a ninja right over here, and upgrade it to Bloons sabotage once you get the money. Just to speed things up, you can use a barrage on the ZOMGs on 88. You can blast an AP shells on the fortified BFB insides on 89. Not sure if it's needed, but you can do it to be safe. And then, for round 90, upgrade your ninja to Bloons sabotage. And then, once you see all 3 DDTs, use barrage.
DDT inbound. One for the history.
For round 92, Sabo once you see a ton of fortified MOABs approaching Churchill. You should do this toward the beginning of the round, just so you have it up for 93. And then AP shells once you see more MOABs approaching Churchill. And then you can glue strike if you want. And then don't barrage the ZOMGs on 92 because you don't need to. And also just to stall some ability cooldowns back for 93. Before 93, set your cleansing foam to right over here. And then Sabo, and once all DDTs are on screen, use barrage, just to get rid of them. If you don't use barrage, you probably die. Also, you can blast AP shells there if you want. You don't have to, but if you really want to, I guess you can do it. 94 is a fairly interesting round. You're going to use Sabo once you see a few MOABs start to split away from the entrance. And then once you see ZOMGs, you're going to use Barrage. And once a bunch of MOABs are approaching Churchill, blast AP shells. And then, I don't know, use Glue Strike when a bunch of MOABs are showing up. Or don't, you don't have to. And then if you want to, you can blast AP shells on the ZOMG insides. You don't have to use anything else other than AP shells. Not even sure if you need to use AP shells, but if you want to use it, you can. Before 95, place a sub in range of the discount and upgrade it all the way to first strike. Also, 95 never really gets close, but it always looks like you're gonna die, but don't be worried, you're not actually going to. Sabo once the first DDT reaches Churchill, and then once the first DDT hits spiked balls, use Barrage. You can wait a few seconds, and then use Glue Strike, and then wait another second or two, and then use AP shells. Don't use the first strike though, you're gonna need that for 96. So, for 96, you're going to use first strike when a bunch of fortified MOABs split away. And then you're going to use Glue Strike and AP shells on the second wave of fortified MOABs. And now, you've pretty much beaten the round. Just Sabo off cooldown, and once the only thing left are ZOMGs, use Barrage to speed it up a bit. And also to stat pad Churchill, just a tiny bit. And then feel free to blast AP shells on the ZOMG insides because you do not need it for 97. Just don't blast any other abilities. Except Blue Strike. You can blast that if you want. And then before 97, buy another first strike. And first strike as soon as you see one fortified ZOMG. And then once the first fortified ZOMG pops, use a second first strike. You should get both cooldowns up before round 98, because you do need both of them. 98 is a tough one, because if you get your abilities wrong, you die. Sabo a few seconds after the round starts. This round is also very, very stressful. It always gets very, very close, but you rarely ever die. Use Barrage once the ZOMGs start to split, and then use First Strike directly after that. Glue Strike, AP Shells, and then blast another First Strike. Don't Sabo again because you need it for 99. And somehow right side is working. I'm not exactly sure how, but it just got melted. And then left side gets taken a bit more slowly because MAME does a lot of stunning. And then for 99, place a ninja right over here and upgrade it to Sticky Bomb with Ninja Discipline and set it on strong. I didn't, but you should still be fine. And then Sabo once you see the DDTs, AP Shells, Blue Strike, and you can use a Barrage if you really want to, but you might not have it off cooldown, so you don't have to use it. Round 100 should be fairly easy. Don't place this druid, you don't have to. You have 5k to spend on whatever you want. So first start off by barraging, and then use a first strike, and then AP shells and glue strike when Churchill starts attacking, and then use your second first strike when the bad reaches about there. Good job on your Ravine black border. I hope that this video could help you out, and have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye. Woo, Churchill, 500k pops, let's go! Also, yeah, no more guides for like a week. And then there's gonna be a week where I post a few guides, and then no more after that for a month. So, use other people's guides. From what I know, this is the first guide made for this map that involves Churchill or the Bloon solver. And it's the first guide that isn't Sky Shredder or Geraldo snipers. Might have to check that though.